Welcome to News Cafe. I'm Mitzi Borromeo. We have Jim Paredes at the table today, singer, songwriter, producer, and one-third of the group APO Hiking Society. He's also a writer and educator. Welcome to News Cafe, Jim.
Very happy to be here.
Finally, great to have you here. Now, you are a man of many hats. We know you as a musician, of course. We'll talk about all of that, your life. But right now, you've been doing some work in education.
I've been teaching since the year 2000, but I stopped sometimes 2 years, 3 years. And I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think I have the most fun creative class at the Ateneo right now.
You actually created this class. Tell us about this class.
Yeah, well,
for the Department of Communications.
Doreen Fernandez used to head the communications department, and
Yeah.
she said, "Jim, why don't you teach?" I said, "What am I going to teach? I'm not an academic." She said, "Teach them what you know."
Yeah.
And so she told me, "Give me about 10 topics that you want to pass on."
Yeah.
So I gave her 10 topics, and then she said, "Let's stick to this 8. And then let me think of a title," she said. But she said, somehow tie them all together para pagtapos na, they get some sense of, hindi naman yung parang kumain ka lang ng mga chicheria, di ba? You get some sense of a complete course.
Right.
So that's what happened.
Okay.
And it's a lot of fun. My students remember me from the first class.
Yeah.
We still keep in touch. Yeah.
And in fact, you graduated from Ateneo also.
Yes.
So how do you find it now? How has it changed? Since, of course, different generation, different time now.
It's really more of the generation, like I remember 2000, the connection with the students was so much easier. Ngayon parang beyond 1980, medyo ano na sila, they think for that as ancient history, no?
Yeah.
So, saka they don't have the, experience. A lot of the experience I had as a student, they don't seem to share it anymore.
Yeah.
It's an
This
entirely
is
new generation.
The life inspired by technology and social
Yeah.
media, very quick, no?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your childhood growing up.
Yeah.
Your father was working with President Ramon Magsaysay.
That's
In fact,
right.
you were named after him. Ramon. There was
Yes,
a Ramon in your
Jaime
name.
Ramon Paredes. Yeah.
Right. So he passed away when you were 5 in the same plane crash.
That's right,
where
yeah.
President Magsaysay.
Yes.
Tell us about that experience where you actually met President Ramon Magsaysay. You were very young then, President Ramon Magsaysay.
I would just see him, and he was really just a stranger. I mean,
Yeah.
a stranger to me, but he was just there.
Yeah.
But it was only later on that I found out how great he was, no?
Yeah.
And one anecdote of how simple this man was my father invited him to his father's house, my grandfather's house. And he said yes. And my grandfather prepared every possible drink you can offer a president, no?
Yeah.
So, ang dami mga pagkain, catering and everything. And the president gets there and he goes, "Can I serve? What do you want to drink?" Sabi ng president, "Meron ba True Orange?" Wala. So they had to go to the
So,
sari-sari
ganun
store
pala.
and get the True Orange. Ganun siya kasimple. I mean, he was so down to earth. Parang, don't dress up for me.
Yeah.
He's that kind of guy.
Yeah. Well, what was it like growing up without a father? Your mother raised you and your 10 siblings.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It didn't occur to me that I didn't have a father until maybe grade 3. When I was at the Ateneo and there was a Parents' Day.
Yeah.
So everybody had a father, and I just, felt. Although my mom married again,
Yeah.
but I didn't really connect to him as a dad. So it was like that. Parang, in fact, when I was gonna have a kid, I sort of had to fashion a template on how to be a father.
Yeah.
So I got my favorite role models, which included, some teachers, mga kuya ko, some uncles that really made an impression.
Yeah.
Some Hollywood people
Yeah.
whom I saw as father roles, and I said, this is what I'm going to be.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot of how to raise children from my mother,
Yeah.
who was really the toughest woman you've ever met.
That's right. It's difficult bringing up 11
Yeah.
kids, huh?
10.
10? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, 10. I thought. So, how did you get into music? Was your family always inclined towards music?
Yes. When we were young, we were 10 kids. We used to
Yeah.
fit in a car that had no radio.
Yeah.
Pag 10 kami sa kotse, pag naiinip na yung mami ko, and she was the one driving, she would always say, "Let's pray the rosary." So instead of praying the rosary, we just end up singing. Kanta ng kanta. Pag tumigil na, sabihin ni ma'am, "Oh, wala na kayong makanta? O sige, I believe in God, kanta na naman kami." So
Yeah.
we were always singing. And the delight of my father and my mom were really when we would sing for them.
Yeah.
Or we had visitors and she would say, "Oh, why don't you sing for us?"
Yeah.
That was the delight that we had.
That's a great way to start. Now, when you formed APO Hiking Society, you were in grade school. Was it grade school?
It was, yeah, high school.
High school, sorry. And there were 12 of you.
Yes.
Tell us about how it was actually the Apolinario Mabini Hiking Society.
Well, you know, we were a group of guys who were really bent on being different.
Yeah.
So lahat ng mga grupo noon, mga pangalan, mga Inglesero, mga The Elusives, mga ganda paporma, no? Kami, gusto namin yung ang dating medyo malabo. So, the first name we had was Kataas-Taasang Kagalang-Galangang Combo. KKK.
Ayaw nga, no?
Tapos naging Banda Train sa S. Why that? Wala, it was just a random thing. Tapos naging Jose Rizal Bulletproof Vest Company. Tapos naging Apolinario Mabini Hiking Society. We had to choose na, so we chose Apolinario Mabini Hiking Society, which was suggested by my brother Ducky.
Okay.
Because, you know, parang gusto namin yung talagang parang may second, may ganun, di ba?
Papaisip na daw.
Exactly, and he was a paralytic. So it was really like, it was the spirit of the times na medyo may
paralytic pero hiking. And from there were, so you were playing, was it drums and also the guitar?
I was playing the guitar.
Yeah, yeah.
And to me, the guitar was one of the most significant things that ever happened. When I got it at age, I really can't remember if it was 10, 11, or 12, but when I got it, I felt I had learned a parallel language with music. Because that's what music does, no? I mean, you know, to a teenager who has pimples and everything, doesn't want to talk, and it's just really...
Yeah, a way to express yourself.
It was a way for me to find that sad feeling inside, or that major 7 feeling inside.
Right.
Na talagang,
sometimes you cannot...
side, di ba?
hindi mo ma-express.
It was the guitar that
words.
did it. I think if I didn't discover the guitar, it would have been drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously,
Well, good, thank you, for a creative outlet, huh? Well, Joey De Leon said of you that APO Hiking Society gave him him and Tito Vic and Joey their big break. In fact, he was joking that your name could have been the Jose Rizal Gun Club or Uzi Rizal daw, or mga Bonifacios after Andres Bonifacio.
He got the drift. He got the drift.
Yeah, but he says that you had a show before on Channel 13, was it? And it was a show called Okay Lang. And then you had him. So he claims, what was that like? This is Tito Vic and Joey were not even around then. You gave them the break.
We didn't really give them the break. I mean, we needed the talent. Thank you, Joey, for saying that. But the truth was, it was a show of amateurs. That was the spirit of the show. It was amateurs na mga smart Alec na, can tell a joke. Kasi wala namang pera ng Channel 13 kumuha ng mga big stars, diba? So they took a chance on college kids, and some people had experience in radio and all of that, and put them there, and we became number 1.
Yeah. Imagine. And there were 19 in the cast, apparently.
Yeah.
So a bunch of people.
Who came and went,
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun, and that gave us some sort of national exposure.
Yeah.
So after that show ended, we became APO Hiking Society. And when we graduated, in fact, Buboy went to Dumaguete to tend the farm. I was supposed to go to Turkey as an exchange student, Isaac.
Yeah.
To go to Europe at mawala na ron. As a young man, like my classmates
Find
and everything.
Meaning.
Hindi dumating yung free ticket ko. Tapos si Buboy na bored na sa farming. Parang this is not my thing.
So you all came back.
We all came back and joined that Okay Lang.
And look where it brought you.
And every week, there was a musical number by us.
Yeah. What did you like most about that?
Spontaneous. We were making the script right then and there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were always compared to the Beatles. You were called the Beatles of the Philippines.
Well,
what do you think?
I'm very honored, and I'm very,
Your influences, would you say they were one of your influences?
Very much.
The Bee Gees also.
When we started, when we really formally started to really think about doing it as a career, we wanted to be what the Beatles were in England, but we did not want to sing Beatles songs. In other words, the Beatles wrote the soundtrack of British lives, of young British lives, of which we partook also, but it was not written for us.
Yeah.
So that's what we wanted to do. We wanted to write the Philippine experience of love, of pain, of being young, and all of that.
You did that. Exactly.
Relevance. We wanted to be relevant.
You're also known for your social consciousness. In fact, you were compared also to Peter, Paul, and Mary, right? And
it's amazing.
Mary? Yeah, who was that? Mary, sometimes men are also. But you met them. You met Peter, Paul, and you performed at the same stage. Tell us about that.
This was EDSA 1.
Yeah.
I was actually in charge of the show, the first EDSA celebration show. And they called and they said they wanted to be part of it. Kasi ganun ang Peter, Paul, and Mary, medyo world-centric sila,
Right.
So I said yes. But a lot of people got mad. Na, this is the Filipino experience. Why are we bowing to the I said, we're not bowing to them. They're willing to do front act for anybody.
Yeah,
they just want to be part of it. They came from Nicaragua and did that long walk to freedom. Ganun sila. And sabi ko, EDSA had a sort of international impact. And these people want to honor it by all means.
Yeah.
No? So that's what I did. I allowed them to do that.
Wow.
And they were really great people.
Yeah.
You could see they wore their heart in their sleeve. Yung talagang mga real, honest, socially conscious people.
Yeah. Amazing.
Amazing.
Well, we'll talk more about your music career. We'll just take a quick break. We'll also hear more about what Jim thinks about OPM today.
Buhay, lagi kang nasasabihan, pagkat ikaw ay bata at wala pang nalalaman, makinig ka sa aking payo, pagkat musmus ka lamang, malaman ng maaga ang wasto sa kamalian.
This is News Cafe, and we have with us Jim Paredes. Okay, Jim, let's talk more about APO. You had about 27 albums in 4 decades. What do you think your best album was for you, even personal?
Well, it's really hard to say.
I know.
But I must say that based on sales, it was the 10 Years Together album where we had 10 songs and we had 8 hits from the song.
Yeah.
So
I'd like-
medyo mabigat yun.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
every album after that had about maybe 1 to 3 hits, so that's pretty good actually.
You also were the first Filipino pop artist to perform at Carnegie Hall.
Yes,
Tell us
yes.
about that experience. You were so young then.
Yeah, somebody
That-
booked us in Carnegie Hall and we
Yeah.
found out that, before they get a booking, they have to look you up and that kind of thing, and you have to tell them the story of this artist and everything. So finally, pumayag sila. And, to see your big poster there outside of Carnegie Hall.
Amazing.
Tapos may nakalagay na sold out. Kasi yung sold out, galing sa kanila yun eh.
Yeah.
They're the only ones who can put sold out. And then the woman who runs I don't know what she's called, she'll tell you you're officially sold out. Talaga.
Wow, that's like, yes, music to our ears.
Tapos
Excellent.
you're practicing on a piano, and on top there was pictures of Frank Sinatra, Liza Minnelli, Paganini, mga classical na and they
Yeah.
probably use the same, piano. So,
Surreal. Oo, galing.
And we were doing OPM. you
Yeah,
know.
to a sold-out crowd. And
Yeah.
not just Filipino, Phil-Am's there,
Yeah,
You had other... You were also the first Filipino pop group to perform in Saudi Arabia in 1987.
Yes,
What
that was
like?
an entirely different experience. That was, we went there. Well, as you know, Saudi Arabia has no access to music the way we have, no?
Yeah.
They have no radio stations that play music except religious songs. There's no TV variety shows and that kind of thing. Music is an experience that you don't really experience. There are no concerts. No?
Yeah.
So our concert was allowed there, but it was in an abandoned tent near the airport. Really huge tent where thousands of people could fit. And there's no posters, there's no advertising and everything, and people were bussed there. So when we performed, as we stood there, on my side was all male, then there was a fence, which was where Danny was, and on this side was all female.
Wow, they
It was,
segregated them.
and then we sang, and it was nakakatawa kasi the moment you sing Filipino songs, my gosh, you really see them crying, no?
Yeah.
Missing home.
Yeah.
Tapos nung after the show, the nurses ran up and they wanted a picture with us. So we were having pictures, and then the religious police came and broke it up and said, if this happens again tomorrow, because it was a 6-day gig,
Okay.
we'll cancel the entire tour.
Because
So
you're
we-
not allowed to have fun or show any happiness. No?
Yeah. So, on stage we said, magkita na lang tayo sa Filipino restaurant. Which was a mistake.
Bakit?
Okay, so we were in the Filipino restaurant, and then 6 buses of nurses were there outside.
Right.
And the driver goes down and says, don't let them go down because it will be suspicious. They're all women going to one place, So why don't you just go up the bus and have a picture taken there? So when we went up the bus, everyone is just grabbing us from left to right. Punit-punit yung mga damit, ang dami scratches sa mukha. Sabi ko,
Fandom talaga.
that was only the first bus, huh?
Yeah. Wow.
5 more.
You were
My
mauled.
gosh, sabi ko, wow. But at the same time, you can't blame them.
Yeah.
Sabik na sabik sila. No?
Oh, you certainly made them happy.
Yeah, oo.
Now, of course, another experience of a different kind. Though, in 1986, you wrote the song "Handog ng Pilipino."
Yes,
You know,
yes.
that really, you were a personality during People Power. But what inspired that song? What was going on?
That song
in your
was
mind?
many months in the making, I think, because what happened was, we struggled, and we did these concerts where we were even banned on radio and TV
Yeah.
and government venues. We banned kami talaga.
Yeah.
So we could only perform in schools, no? That were, anti-dictator. So finally, nung nanalo tayo, it wasn't like I made it the very next day. It took a while. And then when I went home, I sat on the piano and it was gawa na even before I made it. So sometimes they ask me, how long did it take? I said, maybe 2 minutes. But it takes 5 minutes to play. You get what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, if you play fast, the way inspiration came to me was this fast. Di na ako papayag, mawala ka muli. Di na ako papayag. But
it's quick.
in real time, you have to sing it. Di na ako papayag. Pero ando doon na lahat. It was really all there.
Yeah.
So I would say, I was really an instrument. Parang, if you believe in that, the historical zeitgeist captures the artist and tells him to write this, I think I was lucky to experience that.
Yeah. Well, since we're talking about it, also during People Power, you were having a pictorial. The day of that
coup.
APO Hiking Society was having a pictorial, and suddenly you heard about that.
That's
happened.
right.
So you had
we did a show called Eto Na Po Sila, which was at the Ultra. And then after that, we were banned. No? But we wanted to do Eto Na Naman Po Sila. Unang-una, yung word na Eto Na Po Sila, if you recall, were the killing words na, Eto na, po sila, po sila. Yun yun. So kinabit namin, all our fans knew about it. But the government, wala naman yun.
Yeah.
It was only when they found out na binan na kami sa Ultra. So it became, Eto na naman po sila. No? And that was when we did Eto na naman po sila. We were planning, nanalo na po sila. That was the night na nangyari yung coup that sparked EDSA.
Yeah.
And wow, we went to Radio Veritas and we guarded Veritas. We put up an instant concert there. We got big personalities. We got a truck. We borrowed sound system from our usual suppliers, and we sang there until 5 in the morning.
Yeah. Wow, amazing to really be part. There's a different spirit then. Huh?
The next day, it was EDSA na.
Yeah, and that time was also, you were taking pictures. You and your wife, you're busy. You were taking pictures of everything going on.
And every time we would say goodbye to our kids who were sleeping, who were really, really tiny kids, our feeling was, it could be the last. I mean, seriously, serious people in EDSA were saying, eto na.
Yeah.
Bakbakan na to, bahala na.
And you were ready. Everybody was really ready to
I was really
sacrifice
ready.
for the country. Yeah. And at that time too, there was a Radio Bandido. No? June Keithley called you saying, come here.
She called me when I got there. They were just about closing up.
Yeah.
So, I ran to PTV4 then, and they had just taken over.
Yeah.
And when I got there, instantly they said, oh, Jim, you're going to be the host in 30 minutes. So I had to read reports of, we need food here, ganito. The soldiers are joining us from this side and everything, and it's green and go on this side. And then may dumating na order from Marcos that there was a curfew from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. No?
Right.
And I said, the president has just declared a curfew from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. And I think we should really just not believe this. And after I did that, sabi ko, patay ako nito.
Because you just felt, no, this is not right. Yeah.
Oh, parang, sabi ko yata, I suggest nobody follow it or something like that.
Yeah.
And then I just realized, my gosh, Jim.
What did I just do?
Well, what the hell,
Yeah.
Jump and the net will appear. That's always been my motto.
Right. But at that time, you didn't want to leave. I mean, at that time with the music, all of that, I mean, what was it really, what really inspired you to keep going? Because you could have left later on, but you wanted to stay and you didn't.
Well, first of all, during martial law, you really had the choice of either just being totally oblivious to martial law or singing about it and confronting your audience with it.
Right.
And it was an artistic dilemma for Apo. Because parang, if you totally ignore that, para ka naman decorative lang, no? Para ka naman ikebana flower arrangement, di ba? You wanted engagement, di ba?
Yeah.
The way Picasso was kicked out of Spain, di ba?
Yeah.
And the way these Brazilian artists were kicked out of Brazil and had to be in England because they spoke against the dictatorship. That was the feeling I had.
Yeah.
Sabi ko, if you're worth your salt now, right now, this is the test.
Now, after the euphoria of what happened then, you felt some disappointment because things changed.
Yes.
After all the confetti was gone and things again were changing.
Now looking back, it's like, we were able to cut the head of the king,
Yeah.
But nothing else changed down there. I mean,
Yeah.
they were still in position. So, the military was still as undisciplined as ever, attempting 7 coups and all of that. No? So parang, it really had to take time for the rest of the bureaucracy and government to live with the new reality, that it's back to democracy.
Yeah.
But our people were already in that stream. The government was not.
Yeah.
So there was a big disappointment with us, the people.
Right. Yeah.
Yung government, hindi ganun.
Uh-oh.
Except for maybe some people in the cabinet then.
Yeah, because you were critical of some people.
Yeah.
That, for example, you mentioned Rene Sagisag. You expected him to do more.
Well, actually, believe ako kay Rene, on the whole.
Okay. But the Aquino administration also, you said, understandably, Cory Aquino didn't have much experience, but you mentioned in some past articles that you also were hoping for more from the...
I was hoping for more boldness.
Yeah.
Gusto ko talaga yung talagang, andiyan ka na, kick ass, I mean, it's not like you're doing it for yourself to amass fortune or anything. But you need power, and power must be exercised.
Yeah.
Right. No, like 50 push-ups and all of that kind of thing when military goes doing a coup, di ba?
Yeah. And soon, APO Hiking Society became known for that. So all of your messages related to social consciousness, you even talked about environment, education, always nationalism.
Actually, that was only about 15%, but of the topics, it was still love songs. But because it stood out so much, people thought it was everything.
Oh yeah, they always kind of branded you with that.
Right,
I think because really it resonated with so many of us.
Yeah.
All right, well, we'll take a quick break. We will talk more about Jim's experiences with politics and more on OPM. We'll be right back.
Di na ko papayag, mawala ka muli. Di na ko papayag na muling mabawi. Ating kalayaan kay tagal na nating mithi. Di na papayagang mabawi muli. Handog ng Pilipino sa mundo, mapayapang paraang pagbabago. Katotohanan, kalayaan, katarungan ay kayang makamit na walang dahas, basta't magkaisa tayong lahat. Yun.
Welcome back to News Cafe. We are getting into the mind of Jim Paredes. All right, Jim, let's talk back now. Let's get back to OPM right now. Now, what do you think? You guys, APO Hiking Society, really started the OPM movement.
Well, I can't say we did. I'd say my generation did because nagkataon, without talking about it, without planning it, nagkataon na people like Juan de la Cruz, Apo, Hotdog, and Ray Valera, and a few other people just started to write in Filipino. And to me, the rationale was, I wanted to be relevant. No? I mean, we could have duplicated the Beatles experience and sound like the Beatles, and but you're not gonna have a career with that.
Yeah.
We wanted to try something that was never tried before. The real rebellion of our generation was writing in Filipino. Never mind the content. The mere fact that nag-aral ka sa Ateneo, nag-college tapos you did not aspire to be Inglesero and work in New York, and instead write something that the whole country will understand. That was, I think, the revolution.
Yeah. Okay, so what do you think about how it's evolved today? It's a mixed mishmash, they say. It's very much influenced by the West.
Well, yes, no? And I believe that happened because of, that happened during the 80s. Because the delivery system, which was radio and television, became very Western all over again. So because of radio formatting, they wanted only, let's say, R&B, or they wanted only rock, or they wanted only this type of sound. So, nag-stratify. In other words, if you were an R&B, you're going to sound like R&B. If they're playing American Top 40 R&B, you had to sound more American to be able to fit in. No?
Right.
Unlike in the 70s where there was no formatting whatsoever, we did what we wanted.
Yeah.
It was like what Mao Zedong said, let 100 flowers bloom. That was exactly what we were doing.
Yeah.
So for me, we're still paying the price for that up to now. The kids still grew up with a lot of American music. But I really believe that to be world class, you really have to come into the world as yourself. The way the Koreans have recently, the way the Brazilians did,
Yes.
the way Bob Marley and that whole group.
Yeah.
Mali-mali ang English nila, pero sige, ganun sila, di ba?
Yeah.
The way the Cubans did everything, Japanese.
Yeah.
Tayo lang ang nagko-concentrate sa ano. Magaling ang hardware natin ng singers tsaka musicians, no? So you have somebody who can beat anybody in American Idol, di ba?
Yeah.
But that's hardware.
Yeah.
What you need is software, and software is about who you are.
Well, you were quoted recently in an article saying that Filipinos can achieve world domination in about 5 to 10 years. And what should they do? I mean, how
I'm
should
talking
they
very bravely there.
Yeah.
But I really think the moment we realize that we haven't gotten anywhere by sounding like we're from Los Angeles,
Yeah.
I think we should stop that foolishness already. I mean, you can probably have one or two na mapapansin ka, but not on a great level. Look, if you look at that history, it's still Anak right now that holds the...
Classic. Oo, yan.
And do people understand what Anak is? Of course not. But when the Ateneo Glee Club was touring Italy and they were singing Anak in the bus, the next day the bus driver brought his Freddie Aguilar album and showed it.
Around the world talaga, lahat talaga.
Exactly. And up to now, in Singapore, they're still singing Anak. But that's the way to go, I think.
Yeah. So what do you think of our current crop of musicians, composers in this day and age?
You know, there's no doubt, kung skill ang pag-uusapan, merong skill. But I think we really need to be more natural. Let's stop pegging our music with what's uso in LA.
Yeah.
Or England or whatever it is. In other words, tapos na yun. That era is over.
Yeah.
Come into your own as yourself, telling your own story, telling your own truth, sing your own songs, dance to your own music.
Right.
That's what you should do. And when they see Filipinos having a great time, they will ask why.
Yeah.
EDSA was a Filipino experience, right? Which we gave to the world.
Yeah.
Ginaya ng mga ibang countries, Germany and all of that, di ba?
Yeah.
When we're natural, we're believable.
Yeah.
When we're trying to be like, you know, beauty queen perfect, okay, pero parang ganun lang.
Just be yourselves,
diba?
yeah. In fact, you're organizing a really big Pinoy music festival happening on September 5.
September 5.
So you're bringing a mix, no? A mix of the classics and then the new artists.
Yeah.
So what do you hope that audiences will get from this?
Well, there's going to be part history there. So they interviewed a lot of people. So in between songs, you can put things in context. No?
Yes.
So, well, I hope it's going to be very educational. But I really believe na, our cinema is beginning to make it because we're telling our own stories. At hindi na yung derivative stories. By that, I mean, let's say, nauso yung Pretty Woman, gagawa ka na equivalent dito. Hindi na ganun. We're actually telling our own stories. Love Diaz, di ba?
Oh,
galing.
Oh, haba, but he tells a story.
5-hour movie.
Yeah.
Who's got to see them? But they do.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
So, ganun na. It's beginning to happen. And it's going to get into the music thing also.
So do you think that it's going to evolve further? I mean, how else is music going to change
I don't think I can predict it, but I know it's going to change. Kasi even the template of how we appreciate music is changing so much. No? Not for the better, actually.
Yeah.
No? And for me, one of the things that destroyed music or lessened its impact was, believe it or not, videos. During our time, we imagined it. There were no two videos. In other words, if I made a song and you liked it, you invested your imagination on it. Now it's like I'm saying, shut up. This is what I want you to imagine.
You just give them a picture and that's all they think
parang,
about.
huwag ka na mag-imagine. Ako nang bahala sa'yo.
Yeah.
Parang it deprives them of the appreciation that, you want, di ba?
Well, for yourself, you had 2 solo albums and now you're working on your 3rd one.
Yeah.
What do you think your legacy is in terms of music for the music industry?
I think we told different stories, and I think we made the soundtrack of some love lives.
Yeah.
As Danny used to say on stage, people will say, nagkakilala kami dahil sa inyo. Linigawan ko siya dahil sa inyo. Nagpakasal kami dahil sa inyo. Nagkaanak kami dahil sa inyo. Naghiwalay nga kami dahil sa inyo.
Team song talaga ng buhay, no?
Yeah, so maybe something like that.
Yeah. It's true. Well, again, I go back to Handog ng Pilipino sa Mundo. This is a theme song that's very strong for the Filipinos, and it was translated to English, right?
That's right, yeah.
A New and Better Day. This was translated for in Australia?
Australia and
Launched it
England.
in Australia and England, yeah. Now, in 1989, you felt you really wanted to do something for the country. You gave up your green card. You really wanted to stay here. Again, you mentioned earlier.
Yeah, it was...
How was that?
After that the most difficult coup.
Yeah.
My wife and I talked, and I said, it's so unfair that we have an escape hatch.
Yeah.
So we went to the U.S. Embassy, and I gave up the whole family's green card. And the guy who accepted it could not believe it.
Yeah.
He said, why? People are willing to die for this. I mean, well, I have things to do here.
Right.
I mean, I didn't give him the whole nationalistic thing. I just said, I have things to do here.
Yeah. And you continued, but also later on, though, in 2006,
Yes.
you thought, you wanted to move on. Your family immigrated,
Yes.
migrated to
Yes.
Australia.
Yes.
So why was that? Why
It
did
was
you
like this. When ERAP won, I thought we Filipinos had reached our most cynical state, where we elected somebody who was, for me, who was not qualified to be president at all. But because of some, I don't know what. So I told my wife, we gave up our green cards. Let's sit this one out.
Yeah.
Let's live somewhere, enjoy ourselves, and then come back. After, parang nakakapagod na to. So we applied, but we didn't leave until 2006.
Right.
Kay Gloria na, no?
Yeah.
So, and I was always telling my kids also, I want you to experience a society na you have to do things on your own. I'm not gonna, you're not gonna get a privilege because you're the son of Jim Paredes and you're gonna get your license without applying.
Sense of entitlement.
Oh. So we went there and they realized they had to work.
Yeah.
They had to apply for license and fail and pay the fine and everything. And it was, they hated it at first, but now they're
grateful. I swear they appreciate that. Yeah.
They came into their own in a society that's kind of like, sabihin mo na, even playing field.
Yeah.
And they expect the same thing now. So I think they're highly democratic people.
Yeah. It was a different life, a different world. Now, when you left and came back, now, I liked something you said. I read something about the time where you said that the worst possible combination is going through a midlife crisis in a country that is in perpetual crisis. And that's why you left, right? How do you feel about the country now that you've come back?
Especially when you're living abroad, where, a lot of us think na talagang perfect. And in many ways, it is very desirable. But parang it is perfect, but a lot of the things that you see there do not speak to you.
Yeah.
In other words, you're an other. You experience an otherness in that country. Unlike dito, yung pothole na dinadaanan mo araw-araw, sa'yo yan eh. You know what I mean? Parang you already have about that. But it's very good also to get out and learn about how they run a society like that.
Yes.
And then, come back here and say, if they can do it there, why can't we do it?
Right.
In other words, we've run out of excuses as a nation. It's really time to really just say, what should we do? When should we do it?
Yeah.
And there's no more time. So stop complaining and saying we can't do it.
Yeah. You campaigned for President Noynoy Aquino, and you still support him.
Yes.
How do you feel about how his administration has gone so far, especially with all the scandals coming out now?
Well, it's not a perfect administration, but it is a reformist administration.
Yeah.
And I do not agree with the Supreme Court that there was malice in suspending DAP. No. I mean, if there was malice, nanakaw sana nila ng cabinet niya. Pero where's the proof of that? No? So sa akin, maybe it was a misunderstood concept, which other presidents did anyway.
Right.
And all of a sudden now they can't do it, no? Okay. So, and from an executive point of view, after your term is over, are you going to say, well, they're going to blame the Supreme Court? No, they're going to blame the executive. So the executive has to be bold.
Yeah.
No?
Well, now about the talks of charter change, and they're saying Pinoy is actually
he denied
open
it.
to it.
He
denied it. Do you think that...
and I think he, from the very beginning, he wasn't going to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, he hates the job. Not hate, but, it's such a big cross to carry.
He was also a reluctant president. So the upcoming elections, what do you think about that? Are we going to have a leader that's really strong? You talked about having someone like Lee Kuan Yew lead the country. Do you think we'll have a leader like that coming in?
We should. No?
Yeah.
And I think it's still a continuation of reform.
Yeah.
It's still the reform agenda that's all about, that it's going to be all about. It's still going to be about tuwid na daan. And I think, hopefully, what happens is the minimum requirement for anybody who runs for president is he is not corrupt. She is not corrupt.
Yeah.
Which, kung umabot tayo dun, mas madali na pumili.
Now, we'll talk more about that. We'll just take another quick break. When we return, we'll hear more from Jim about his writing life and his family.
Nalangin ko sa habang buhay, makapiling ka, makasama ka, yan ang panalangin ko. At hindi papayag ang pusong ito, mawala ka sa aking piling, mahal ko iyong dinggin.
Welcome back to News Cafe. We are talking to Jim Paredes. All right, you're very vocal about your thoughts too on social media. You're very active on Twitter and Instagram. And in fact, you've met a little bit of tension, I guess. Welcome back to News Cafe. We are talking to Jim Paredes. All right, you're very vocal about your thoughts too on social media. You're very active on Twitter and Instagram. And in fact, you've met a little bit of tension, I guess. I mean, you have some. You can't help it. There's some.
I have my haters.
Yeah. Now there was some. Actually, this was covered heavily in the media when you had a row between Bongbong Marcos and even Gringo Honasan. Now, let's take that. Let's talk about the people power one. Bongbong Marcos first.
Okay, kay Bongbong, ito sa nagkamali sa mga retweet tapos nalagay yung pangalan ko and all of that.
So
parang nagkaroon ng ito sa misunderstanding on his part and on my part.
Right.
So when a certain tweet came out, which I can't even remember anymore, I said, give us back our money.
Yeah.
And talagang, whoa, parang drone na yan sa gitna ng kalye, di ba? And then he answered, di ba? And then I think he realized na there was some misunderstanding. So actually naagapan yun.
Yeah. Now with Gringo Honasan naman.
With Gringo,
this had to do with...
He was talking about EDSA.
Right.
And he was claiming that, the people came for them. And I said, the people didn't go for you. They came for Cory. But you guys are claiming that, because you want to rewrite history, you want to justify all of your coups. And then he came back with something like, well, I'm not going to talk to you because, win in an election first or something like that.
Right.
Which to me was, wow,
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you're an elected official, you're gonna talk to somebody like that na, entitled ka ba?
Yeah.
Ganun yung ko. So, bumira din ako.
So this is...
I didn't back down.
And this became quite heated.
Yeah.
So how do you feel about the way social media provides a platform? You don't even have to meet in person. But
I think social media is the most democratic form of media there is now because anybody can be a power center.
Right.
If you go viral, you're a power center. But at the same time, it requires so much responsibility for everybody that we really have to grow up,
Yeah.
We have to grow up. So it's a very exciting thing. You're connected to everybody else. You can actually follow the tweets of the people you admire. Like, ako si Obama, sila, kung sino-sino mga world leaders, sinusundan ko lahat yan. And I talk to them and they answer back.
Right.
So it's such a thrill. So sa akin, I see it more on the social level, talagang it's really, wow, engagement galore.
Yeah.
On the spiritual level, I actually see it as our nervous system has extended all throughout the world and we are really just one human family.
Yeah, it's a borderless world, really.
Yeah.
Now, we'll talk about, since you brought it up, you also give workshops for creativity. And it's funny, I read about one of your participants, and she said that in one workshop, you asked them to let go of all their attachments to media. So here you are talking about social media, but you said no access to any kind of media.
Yes,
Why
and I still do that from time to time. Well, I told them, for example, one of the homework is media deprivation, and it runs for, well, if we run for a week, it's a whole week. If we run for 2 weeks, it's 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I said, well, throughout your life, you've been listening to other people and just believing what they're saying. I said, I think it's about time you listen to your thought patterns and you listen to yourself. Oprah will not make you happy and whole. Your self-discovery will make you happy and whole. So if you can write all you want, poetry, play music, explore and everything, but it is not your duty to listen to everybody's opinion.
Right.
Right now, find out what you're all about.
Yeah.
And that's what it is.
Well, I'd like to talk about one of your books. You published 4 books, and your latest one, As Is, Where Is.
Yeah.
You say, wake up, life is waiting. Only those who have awakened know that they were sleeping. And you also go on to say, this is the silence that is open and free. What is this silence you speak of?
This silence actually resides inside of us. I mean, we are surrounded by a world of things, but we are not those things. Sometimes we think we are those things. We think we are our wealth. We think we are our house. We think we are our reputation. We think we are our wealth. No. If that's how you think of yourself, it's a very superficial thing. But if you go to what's inside of you that is actually eternal, and endless and very deep and was always there and will always be there, even as your body dies, I think you've discovered that great sense of, that great source of power.
Right.
I always tell people, you know, especially yung mga malulungkot sa social media, sabi ko, you know, think of problems as like typhoons. You know, they will come, they will give us a bad time and everything. But you know, you are not those problems. You are actually the eternal blue sky, where nothing really happens there.
Yeah.
You're perennially just bright.
Yeah.
You know, so don't identify with the pain that it's giving you.
Yeah.
That is momentary pain. That's not a permanent pain.
Great advice. And this is the kind of advice you give your children. All your children are artists. So you have Erica, who's a stylist and a writer.
That's right.
There's Ala, did I say that right?
Ala, yeah.
Ala, who's also an artist in Australia, and Mio, a sound engineer in Australia. And you gave them advice. You said about artists, an artist's life is all about rejection. You just have to keep showing up. Do not waste your time not being good.
That's right. It was my own mother who told me that. I said, you know, because I wanted to be, at one time I wanted to be a lawyer, which thank God I didn't become, because I would have been an alcoholic, I think. And I wanted to be, you know, I wanted to do this, do that, work in an office. And I said, finally I said, you know, I'm terrified of that kind of world, no? So I became who I was. And my mother always used to say, you know, Jim, you can be anything you want. Even a cook. During the time, wala pa mga chef.
Oh,
even a
that's
cook.
not a big
As
thing.
long as you do your best.
Yeah.
That when you do something, it's with pride and you know, may dating ka.
Right.
So I've taken that to heart.
This is how you raise your children, because you were a tutor to them. You say you've been to grade school 5 times.
Yes.
Because you tutored yourself, of course, your 3 children and your granddaughter.
That's right, yeah. Everything they learn, their numbers and their reading, galing lahat sa akin yan.
Yeah. Now, how is it, I mean, of course, besides teaching them academically, you've also given them great life lessons, because you always believed in telling them everything straight up, not talking to them like children.
Yeah, and I also tell them that, you know, like I gave them the sex talk. You know, it's so hard to give the sex talk.
For the kids, yeah. Yeah, that's tough.
Basically, I told them, you know, it's like owning an animal. If the animal is not trained, it will take you where it wants to go. But if you train it, you will take it where it wants to go.
Yeah.
Where you want to go.
Basically, you have to be in control.
That's right. And I told my girls, I said, if you're not in control, you're potentially a victim.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true, yeah. Well, speaking of your girls, when you first held Erica in your arms, that's what inspired you to write Batang Bata Ka Pa.
Right after I put her down, I just went to the piano and...
Lumabas. You didn't want to have kids at first, is that right?
I didn't
when
want.
you married Lydia. You were 25 then, she was 20.
Yeah.
Yeah, imagine at that time, you're barely adults.
I
Right?
know. And all of a sudden, we had this thing.
Yeah, so very
Nakakaano
different
talaga.
time.
That's really a life-changing experience, you know. And the moment you have children, you never have a mindset where you don't think of your children at any day. They will always, you know, come into your mind and say, how are they?
Yeah.
What are they going through? Yeah.
Yeah, it said you really have a different purpose now in life.
Yeah.
Now, there was a time also where, you know, the challenges of any kind of life. Your daughter, Erica, graduated from college.
Yes.
She was pregnant, and even Lydia, your wife, was diagnosed with cancer. And you
Yes.
said, as imperfect as it was perfect.
Yes.
What did you mean by that?
Oh, well, there we were in the graduation. My daughter had a big tummy and she was nakatoga. And my wife was kalbo, you know, nakataling ganun. Tapos sabi ko, I mean, look at this, you know. I mean, look how kawawa we are. Sabi ko, but here we are. I mean, we're thrown into this world and this is our role. You know, I don't know how we are affecting people. I don't know how we are affecting each other. But I say yes to this.
Yeah.
And the moment you say yes to that, it's perfect.
Yeah.
It's when you say no that things become difficult.
Right, yeah.
You know, I reject that. I can't take it. That's when it becomes difficult. So the whole idea of being alive is really to say, look at life straight in the eye and say, yes.
Exactly.
I'm going with you wherever it goes.
And that's what it means to be human. I think you find meaning out of these really difficult situations.
Yeah.
So when you look back on life, I mean, it's been a wonderful 63 years. You just celebrated your birthday. What would you say? I mean, a lot has happened. I mean, so what a great career. But what would you say the greatest moments or milestones for you have been?
Some of them have really been quiet moments, actually. Some of them are late conversations in bed, you know, where you're just talking. I mean, of course, it's, you know, you remember the first time you bring them to Disneyland, ganun, but it's not quite as touching as that, no?
Right.
I remember giving my first talk about husbands who have wives with cancer.
Yeah.
Where we were to face that cancer,
Yeah.
we actually decided to say we have cancer because it's not just her problem.
Yeah.
I have to deal with that as well and help her, no? So, no, ganun. There's so many unforgettable, no? EDSA was really, for me, glorious, yeah.
Definitely.
Glorious. APO had great moments where we performed for thousands of people and, para kaming, taas mo yung kamay mo, parang you were like a trainer of a big dragon,
Yeah. What a movie your life would make, Jim. But of course, you've done so much, but still a lot is happening. What are some future projects that you're looking at, or still dreams that you want to make happen?
I don't believe in retirement, for one. I really want to die with my boots on. No? But I believe in not being too much of an idiot anymore as I was when I was a young man. So you sort of become more discerning, di ba? I believe in exploring the depths of my humanity. No?
Yeah.
Whatever that means, bahala na kayo.
Yeah. You're also into photography.
I'm into photography.
If there's one picture that you've taken or still hope to take, if there's something that you could say could represent your life, your perspective now, what would
I
that
don't
be?
know. I don't know. As an artist, really, there are days when I'm in total fascination of everything. I mean, I think everything is extraordinary with extraordinary eyes, no? But everything is really flat.
Yeah.
With eyes that cannot see beyond flatness, no?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
So it's really up to you, no? I mean, your whole idea, you must take responsibility for the beauty that you see.
Right.
For what you do, for your life. In other words, sagot mo yung buhay mo. You cannot die blaming other people. You can't.
Yeah, that's true. Well said. Thank you very much, Jim, for your time and for the inspiration. So that was Jim Paredes, and I thank you again for being on the show.
Oh, thank you.
Great to have you at News Cafe. Next week, News Cafe takes you to the opera. Thanks for watching. I'm Mitzi Borromeo. Have a good evening.
Ang ulo mo sa unan, katawan mo ay aking kukumutan. Mga problema'y iyong malilimutan. Habang tayo'y magkayakap sa dilim. Heto na ang pinakahihintay natin. Heto na tayo magkayakap sa dilim. O kay sarap ng mga nakaw na sandali. Habang tayo'y magkayakap sa dilim.
Students remember me from the first class.
Yeah.
We still keep in touch. Yeah.
And in fact, you graduated from Ateneo also.
Yes.
So how do you find it now? How has it changed? Since, of course, different generation, different time now.
It's really more of the generation, you know. Like, I remember 2000, the connection with the students was so much easier. Ngayon, parang beyond 1980, medyo ano na sila, they think for that as ancient history, no?
Yeah.
So, saka they don't have the experience. A lot of the experience I had as a student, they don't seem to share it anymore.
Yeah,
it's an
this
entirely
is
new generation.
The life inspired by technology and social media, very quick, no?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about your childhood growing up. Your father was working with President Ramon Magsaysay.
That's
In
right.
fact, you were named after him. Ramon. There was a Ramon in your
I'm
name.
Ramon Paredes. Yeah.
Right. So he passed away when you were 5 in the same plane crash.
That's right,
where
yeah.
President Magsaysay.
Yes.
Tell us about that experience where you actually met President Ramon Magsaysay. You were very young then, President Ramon Magsaysay.
I would just see him, and he was really just a stranger. I mean,
Yeah.
a stranger to me, but he was just there.
Yeah.
But it was only later on that I found out how great he was, no?
Yeah.
And one anecdote of how simple this man was my father invited him to his father's house, my grandfather's house. And he said yes. And my grandfather prepared every possible drink you can offer a president, no?
Yeah.
So, ang dami mga pagkain, catering and everything. And the president gets there and he goes, "Can I serve, what do you want to drink?" Sabi ng president, "Meron bang True Orange?" Wala. So they had to go to the sari-sari store and get the True Orange. But really, when we would sing for them,
Yeah.
Or we had visitors and she would say, "Oh, why don't you sing for us?"
Yeah.
that was the delight that we had.
That's a great way to start. Now, when you formed APO Hiking Society, you were in grade school. Was it grade school?
It was, yeah, high school.
High school, sorry. And there were 12 of you.
Yes.
Tell us about how it was actually the Apolinario Mabini Hiking Society.
Well, you know, we were a group of guys who were really bent on being different.
Yeah.
So lahat ng mga grupo noon, mga pangalan, mga Inglesero, mga The Elusives, mga ganda na paporma, no? Kami, gusto namin yung medyo, ang dating medyo malabo. So, the first name we had was Kataas-Taasang Kagalang-Galangang Combo. KKK.
Ayaw nga, no? Oo.
Tapos naging Banda Train sa S. Why that? Wala, it was just a random thing. Tapos naging Jose Rizal Bulletproof Vest Company. Tapos naging Apolinario Mabini Hiking Society. We had to choose na, so we chose Apolinario Mabini Hiking Society, which was suggested by my brother Ducky.
Okay.
Because, you know, parang gusto namin yung talagang parang may second, may ganun, di ba?
Mapapaisip na daw.
Exactly, and he was a paralytic. So it was really like, it was the spirit of the times na medyo may
paralytic pero
konti.
hiking. And from there were, so you were playing, was it drums and also the guitar?
I was playing the guitar.
Yeah, yeah.
And to me, the guitar was one of the most significant things that ever happened. When I got it at age, I really can't remember if it was 10, 11, or 12, but when I got it, I felt I had learned a parallel language with music. Because that's what music does, no? I mean, you know, to a teenager who has pimples and everything, doesn't want to talk, and it's just really...
Yeah, a way to express yourself.
It was a way for me to find that.
Welcome to News Cafe. I'm Mitzi Borromeo. We have Jim Paredes at the table today, singer, songwriter, producer, and one-third of the group APO Hiking Society. He's also a writer and educator. Welcome to News Cafe, Jim.
Very happy to be here.
Finally, great to have you here. Now, you are a man of many hats. We know you as a musician, of course. We'll talk about all of that, your life. But right now, you've been doing some work in education.
I've been teaching since the year 2000, but I stopped sometimes 2 years, 3 years. And I really, really enjoy it.
Yeah.
And I think I have the most fun creative class at the itinerary right now.
You actually created this class. Tell us about this class.
Yeah, well,
for the Department of Communications.
Doreen Fernandez used to head the communications department, and
Yeah.
she said, "Jim, why don't you teach?" I said, "What am I going to teach? I'm not an academic." She said, "Teach them what you know."
Yeah.
And you know, so she told me, "Give me about 10 topics that you want to pass on."
Yeah.
So I gave her 10 topics, and then she said, "Let's stick to this 8. And then let me think of a title," she said. But she said, somehow tie them all together para pagtapos na, they get some sense of, hindi naman yung parang kumain ka lang ng mga chicheria, di ba? You get some sense of a complete course.
Right.
So that's what happened.
Okay.
And it's a lot of fun. It's masyado siya kasimple. I mean, he was so down to earth. Parang, don't dress up for me.
Yeah.
He's that kind of guy.
Yeah. Well, what was it like growing up without a father? Your mother raised you and your 10 siblings.
Yeah.
What was that like?
It didn't occur to me that I didn't have a father until maybe grade 3. When I was at the Ateneo and there was a Parents' Day.
Yeah.
So everybody had a father, and I just, felt. Although my mom married again.
Yeah.
But I didn't really connect to him as a dad. So it was like that. Parang, in fact, when I was gonna have a kid, I sort of had to fashion a template on how to be a father.
Yeah.
So I got my favorite role models, which included, some teachers, mga kuya ko, some uncles that really made an impression,
Yeah.
some Hollywood people
Yeah.
whom I saw as father roles, and I said, this is what I'm gonna be.
Yeah.
And I learned a lot of how to raise children from my mother.
Yeah.
Who was really the toughest woman you've ever met.
That's right. It's difficult bringing up 11
Yeah.
kids, huh?
10.
10? Okay,
Yeah.
sorry, 10. I thought. So, how did you get into music? Was your family always inclined towards music?
Yes. When we were young, we were 10 kids. We used to
Yeah.
fit in a car that had no radio.
Yeah.
Pag 10 kami sa kotse, pag naiinip na yung mami ko, and she was the one driving, she would always say, "Let's pray the rosary." So instead of praying the rosary, we just end up singing. Kanta ng kanta. Pag tumigil na, sabihin ni Ma'am, oh, wala na kayong makanta? O sige, I believe in God, kanta na naman kami. So,
Yeah.
we were always singing. And the delight of my father and my mom were that sad feeling inside or that
Yeah.
major 7 feeling inside na
Right.
talagang
Sometimes
may
you
kasamang
cannot,
side, di ba?
oo, hindi mo ma-express
It was the guitar that did it.
words.
I think
Yeah.
if I didn't discover the guitar, it would have been drugs.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, oh.
Well, good. Thank you for a
Yeah.
creative outlet, huh?
Oo.
Well, Joey De Leon said of you that you, APO Hiking Society, gave him him and Tito Vic and Joey their big break. In fact, he was joking that your name could have been the Jose Rizal Gun Club or Uzi Rizal daw, or mga Bonifacios after Andres Bonifacio.
Oh, he got the drift. He got the
Yeah.
drift.
So, but he says that you had a show before on Channel 13, was it?
13.
And it was a show called Okay Lang. And
Okay
then you
Lang.
had him. So he claims, what was that like? This is Tito Vic and Joey were not even around then. You gave them
It
the
was,
break.
no, we didn't really give them the break. I mean,
He says that.
we needed the talent. Thank you, Joey, for for saying that. But the truth was, it was a show of amateurs. That was the spirit of the show. It was amateurs na mga smart Alec na, may can tell a joke. Kasi wala namang pera ng Channel 13 kumuha ng mga big stars eh. Di ba? So they took a chance on college kids and, some people had experience in radio and all of that and
Yeah.
put them there. And we became number 1.
Yeah. Imagine. And there were 19 in the cast, apparently.
Yeah,
So a
oo.
bunch of people.
Yeah,
that were,
who came and went,
Yeah.
So that was a lot of fun and that gave us some sort of national exposure.
Yeah.
So after that show ended, we became APO Hiking Society. No? And when we graduated, in fact, Buboy went to Dumaguete to tend the farm.
Ah.
I was supposed to go to Turkey as an exchange student, ISEC,
Yeah.
to go to Europe at mawala na ron.
Oo.
As a young man, like my classmates
Find
and everything.
meaning.
Oh. Eh, hindi dumating yung free